It's showtime. Breaking news, breaking news. Welcome back. Come on in, come on in.
Hello, how's everybody doing? It's good to see everybody in chat. And thank you, Alex Erickson, for sending her chat over here. She covered the Celeste Rivas D Ford VD case tonight. And I was listening to it when I was like showering and just getting ready for the stream. And yeah, it's a wild, wild case. And I'm happy with the progression as of right now. It was a bit weary for a bit what was going to happen in it, but it seems as though we are on a good track to justice, hopefully, in that case. So great stream over there. And then my friend, what do I have here? 29 months from Jay's membership. Thank you so much, Jay. And he had a very interesting live stream tonight he talked about Waco. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. And thank you so much, lady. 3 months. And is your birthday today? 66 years on Earth. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. In chat, wish her a happy birthday. I appreciate your membership and your support. I won't ask you guys to donate. Like I've seen numerous clips from Trisha from Web Sleuth saying, I watched Olap's video today and wow, that's all I have to say is I'm like, I'll just ask you guys to like the stream and that's it, because we're hanging out on these weekends together and I've invited a friend tonight, so we'll see. I think she's going to be joining shortly, Jenn Lou. But a little update actually from last night's stream. Last night we discussed the JLR update and his alleged DV situation with his ex, and I had talked about how Nerdy Attic was saying on Hella's channel that he had noticed on TikTok that he was only following one girl, one person, that is, only account on there, and it's Magnolia's. And so this was just that, and I was going to see if I could pull it up for you guys last night, and I couldn't find his account. Then I realized, like, oh, so he blocked me on TikTok also, I guess. Even though I wasn't even following him and I don't even ever use my TikTok. I'm like, okay. But yeah, so that was a little update. And then there you can see that he is following her account. Yeah, so that was just an update from last night's stream. If you guys missed it, check it out. Hello, Dolly. Good to see you. So glad you're here. And everyone else who's joined. All right, so yeah, what a jerk. And I wasn't even following him. So he looked it up. I mean, it's linked on my page, but I'm like, should I be nervous about that? Or
pray for me, please pray for my family. Please pray for me.
But this discussion, so I also saw Every Day with Jay kind of listened to this video too the other night, but I didn't watch it because I wanted to do a live reaction with you guys. Let me just share my screen, because explain to me this. This was the title. Inside the truck, Dr. John reacts to the audio that shook the Athena Strand trial, right? That's what this whole thing is about, because that was their title. And I guess I should just do a quick overview of Athena's case real quick, just to give a little bit of context to everything. So it's kind of been all over true crime channels this week for the past few weeks. I don't know. It's on day, I want to say maybe 15, maybe. I don't know. It's been a few weeks of this whole process in the courts, and it's the Athena Strand trial. It's a murder case. involving the FedEx driver. I'm sure you guys have seen it all over the media. So let me just give a little brief summary before we get into the discussion at hand and the issue at hand. So she was 7 years old, living in Paradise, Texas. She was described as bright, strong-willed, and loving by family and teachers. November 30th, 2022, Athena reported missing from her home by her stepmother. A large-scale search began involving law enforcement and volunteers. Within hours of her disappearance, a delivery driver had been at the home. 2 days later, Athena's body was found 6 to 9 miles away from her house. The suspect was Tanner Horner. Tanner Horner was a FedEx contract delivery driver. He had been delivering a package, reportedly a Christmas gift of Barbies, at the same time. He was quickly identified, arrested, and confessed to the crime. What investigators say happened: Horner abducted Athena from her home. He claimed he accidentally hit her with his van and panicked, but prosecutors have disputed parts of that story. He ultimately killed her inside his delivery vehicle. Strangulation was the cause of death. Evidence later included her clothing found in his possession, DNA evidence suggesting possible SA, statements shown there were attempts to cover up the crime. The court case and the current case in 2026 is ongoing. As of April 2026, he has pleaded guilty to capital murder, aggravated kidnapping, and the trial moved to the sentencing phase where a jury must decide DP or life in prison without parole. You guys who have been following this case, I'm curious what you think the jury should decide on. And all opinions welcome. DP or life in prison without parole. I personally think in this case that I've watched the whole trial pretty much daily over on Jenn Lou's channel. She is streaming it and she is here. Hello, Jen.
Hey, babe. Sorry I'm late.
You're totally fine. I appreciate you being here. I was just saying that you've had really good, consistent coverage every day of this process. And I think we're on like 2 weeks.
No, babe. We're on week 5.
No.
We've had 4 weeks. Yeah, the trial started. Yeah, they started March 27th.
Oh my gosh. Time just slips away from me. I don't know what it is lately.
It's
but
the kiddos. They do that to you. You trust me.
I believe it.
I used to be young like you, and then bang, I had kids, I blinked, and now I'm old.
Well, we're going to enjoy the ride together, at least digitally.
There you go.
So thank you so much for joining. And
You're
if
welcome.
you guys want a place to watch it, I will link Bendy's channel. I've got it right here. And that'll be in the description box also, probably after the stream. But one thing I have to say before I even continue with Athena's case is, in your kind of coverage of it, you noticed the same thing that I noticed. And what's wild is, so I messaged you earlier today and I was like, they changed the title. And I checked it numerous times. I refreshed it. I screenshot it. So it was this: inside the truck, Dr. John reacts to the audio that shook the Athena Strand trial. And I saw it on my like home page or whatever when I pulled up YouTube, and I was like, I didn't even click it because I'm like, they didn't even make that audio public. How is Dr. John reacting to it? So right there, you already know it's clickbait.
Right.
And then an hour and 58 minutes. How are they coming up with it? 2 hours of content when there's no audio given to the public?
I would like to know the same thing. I mean, the only thing that they could be reacting to are the various reports that came from inside the courtroom by media that sat and listened. But even those reporters, specifically, because I listened, on the channel listened to Rebecca Lopez from WFAA. because
I
the
was
day
there.
that it got played, yeah, remember how we
It's
couldn't,
wild. Yeah.
we weren't sure that it was getting played. We thought it was getting played, but then we were confirmed. So then at the lunch break, she came on and talked about it. And the thing is, there was another detail that came out about something that occurred or was said. Let me be very clear. Something that was said by Tanner Horner inside that truck that came out through the language speech pathologist, Dr. Fritz. None of us knew that.
Mm-hmm.
If there is a transcript,
Mm-hmm.
okay, because there's a transcript of the trial. However, I cannot imagine that, first of all, the transcript would be available already. And
No.
second of all, that the transcript would be given to the public, because all of the reporters from Texas who've covered tons. I mean, I'll be 50 years old next January. I have been watching Rebecca Lopez like since I was 10 when I moved to Texas. That's how long she's been with WFAA. And they were talking, and they have a panel. She's in the courtroom, and then there's a panel. I cannot think of the lady's name. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm not feeling the best, but I'm gonna push through. She is works with WFAA, and she's done crime reporting for, like, I don't know, 25 years, 30 years, something like that. And then they take turns, and they have different legal analysts, lawyers on the panel with her, with the hostess. And all of them have agreed that there's no way that transcript or that audio will ever get out. Now, will it be, it will always be part of the trial record. And should Tanner Horner get the death penalty, he will have automatic appeals for the sentencing. And obviously the first thing that gets requested is the transcript of the trial. But I cannot imagine that they would ever, that I think that would be forever sealed from the public. Like, it can be requested. Don't get me wrong. People can request it. And what will happen is, like, most likely the judge, the defense, and the prosecution will all agree that that is one part of the evidence that needs to be sealed. And so anybody requesting it will likely be told that it is not in the public's best interest. And if they say that, if they tell somebody who's for it, that's a legitimate reason not to release documents. And I think in this case, that is
Absolutely
legitimate. There's other cases, Chris Watts, we look on a queue, where some of the stuff that they wanted sealed, I'm not talking about like the autopsy reports and stuff like that, but there were things that were sealed forever in the Watts case that nobody can get. And they used the response that it's not in the public's best interest.
Mm-hmm. And look at the thumbnail. So first off, I've got two issues with this title and thumbnail. The first one we're still kind of on which is obviously the clickbait, because the audio will never, we're assuming, and has never at this moment been released to the public. So what's with the thumbnail that says psychologist reacts?
Yeah, like all he would be able to react to is what we reacted to, what I reacted to, and anybody else that's covering this trial live, Grizzly, what we heard. And I haven't been able to go back and watch Grizzly, so I don't know if what she did when the jury was looking at the video, because there were two parts to it. There was the first part, they watched like 30 minutes of it before lunch. They took an hour lunch, then they came back, and then they watched 30 more minutes without the cameras and audio in the courtroom. And then there was like 25 minutes, I think, of after the crime. after he had disposed of her body, and he is driving the truck. Right when he takes that sticker off of the camera inside the FedEx truck, that's when the courtroom audio and video were streaming, and it just came on super abruptly.
And we know that poor Athena said something like, "Are you a stranger?
Are you a kidnapper?
Are you a kidnapper?"
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like this whole clickbait thing here, it leads to so many different things that I guess the audio that they're referring to, but we know, and those who follow this case, and this isn't their only video on this case, so they know very well the evidence that's been presented. And we already went through kind of the summary at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an alleged and possible, due to DNA evidence, essay that possibly took place back there, or an attempted one. And
there was definitely, by the legal definition of at the bare minimum, what he could have been charged with based off of the DNA is lewd and lascivious. Okay. But I think that he purposefully wasn't charged with that. And here's why. First of all, they don't need it. Okay. The capital murder is the highest charge that a person can be, is the highest charge a person in Texas can be charged with. That's the most serious charge. It doesn't always mean that you will get, that the defendant will get the death penalty, or that the death penalty will be sought, because Christopher Preciado, who killed Savannah Soto and Matthew Guerra, he was also charged with capital murder, but the death penalty was not on the table. He got automatic life without the possibility of parole. But because of Athena's age, and because of the aggravated kidnapping charge, that is what escalates it to capital murder. But her age is what pushed it over for them to seek the death penalty. And I think that charging him, the law enforcement and the prosecution did a tremendous job, and the courts, keeping the details of this case completely and totally hidden from the public until trial, which is how it's supposed to be. And none of us learned about anything even remotely close to an essay until the opening statements. And I think if they had charged him with that, then people would have known.
Mm-hmm.
And he was moved. See, this crime occurred in Wise County, Texas. Well, over the years, the defense had asked for and won a change of venue. So now the trial is taking place in Fort Worth, downtown Fort Worth, at the Tarrant County Courthouse. Well, that is where Tanner is being housed, in the Tarrant County Jail. The Tarrant County Jail and the Dallas County Jail for the Metroplex, those are the two roughest jails in the Metroplex. So I think that's another reason they wanted him to make it to trial, quite frankly.
Interesting. No sympathy there.
No, but for the prosecution and for law enforcement and for me, and I'm sure all of you guys too, justice takes place in the courtroom.
Mm-hmm.
And so and I just am so proud of the Texas Rangers. I'm proud of the Wise County Prosecutor's Office. I'm proud of the state of Texas, because Fort Worth was part of the search. They are the ones that sent a helicopter looking for Athena. I mean, everybody came together, including the community, and searched for her, and anybody and everybody that knew any details. And this was a high profile case, didn't say anything. And I mean, if you guys haven't watched, or I don't know if you have or not, but if you haven't, even Tanner's family members, which this is the one that kind of shocked me. Tanner's family members didn't even know what happened in the back of the truth about what happened in the back of that FedEx truck until the trial. So Okay, I feel like I've talked too much. I'm sorry, Amber.
No. You've done such a good job because of your coverage. Like it's been a very interesting process. And there hasn't really been many people who've gone up on the stand that I'm just like, oh, this is too boring. I don't want to hear this. Like, it's all been really compelling and very thorough. If they're like background information of him, and like it's built like a really good picture of the whole case.
It really has. This is a unit. If you're interested, and I want to say right away, obviously we're dealing with the brutal murder of a 7-year-old little girl. Okay. It is a very, very tough case, but it is a unique case in that he pled. So it moved from that point on directly into the penalty phase. And penalty phases usually last 2.5, maybe 3 weeks at most. Okay. And this has been 4 weeks. And the amount of evidence that was put on, the prosecutor said from his opening statements, and he did not lie, that he was going to put on every bit of evidence that they had. They were going to get the trial, and we're going to get the aggravating factor evidence or aggravating circumstances evidence as well. It was going to be all in one, and they did.
Good. Yeah, I would say there's no reasonable doubt on any aspect of.
God, no.
And like, I think personally, with all the evidence and everything, him himself confessing and pleading guilty, like I would say, I hope, the DP, I don't say for every single case, but this one particularly, it's just been so horrible. It's just been very close to home because of like the age of Athena as well for me. And the way that they titled this and the way that they clickbaited. And of course I go to the comment section and it's all positive comments because you know how they are. They're always
right.
They're right. Criticism. And you cannot tell me, the reason why I say you can't tell me they didn't get bad feedback is because you saw it. Every Day with Jay saw it. Like I saw the title. People before the stream were commenting saying like that they saw it as well and they were disgusted. And someone said, I caught that and I clicked on it because I thought they somehow got a copy of the audio and were coming to cover it. It would have been disgraceful. Remember, they covered Lori's privileged lawyer consults.
Yes. Well,
they just, with respect to Athena and how awful the case is, like they cheapen it by covering it the way they do.
Exactly. And not only that, but here's the thing. And this is how I can tell that I don't know what these two are doing during the day when the trial is going on, but I cannot figure out how they thought that this was even potentially a good idea after Maitland, Athena's mother, testified. Y'all know that she got up on that stand and she has been strong from day one with all of this. And so has her father, and so is her stepmother, who was accused incorrectly. And I've not heard one damn apology from anybody that accused her. But anyway, that's not the point. The point of it is when she testified, one of the last things that she was asked was, did she have an opportunity to watch that video? And they reference it as a video because that is what it is. It is a video. It's just that the camera's been covered up. So then there's a portion of it that's only audio. Okay. And she said that she could only listen to or watch like maybe a minute, maybe 2 minutes. But you know what she said that impressed me? She apologized to every single person except for Tanner Horner in that courtroom who was made to listen to that audio. See, when the FBI went to get the SD card out of that camera in the truck, it is not playable except for by Velocitor. So Ranger Espinosa went to where Velocitor's headquarters are. I want to say Virginia, and But before that, the representative from Velocitor downloaded and from their cloud where they store it and watched part of that video and recorded it on his iPhone and sent that to Ranger Espinoza. But in order for that video in its entirety to be validated, in order to be admitted into evidence, the representative from Velocitor had to watch it all. This is a man who is only connected to this crime by virtue of the software that runs the camera, but he had to listen to it because he had to authenticate it.
Wow. Scarred for life, probably.
The court reporter, the jurors, the judge. She apologized to both sides of attorneys, the court bailiffs, everybody that's had to listen to that. And and then Tanner Horner has witnesses that are expert witnesses, not lay witnesses, expert witnesses who were provided that video. And one of them chose only, which I don't blame her, but I do at the same time, chose only to read the transcript. But if you're going to give an expert opinion about, and you're there to testify to mitigating circumstances, you cannot get context and, tone, inflection, you can't get all of that from reading. They don't put that in a transcript.
Right. And not to get too graphic, but this was a strangulation. So like there's so many things that they had to be subjected to in this quote audio that
right. But it wasn't like quick.
What he's reacting to.
Right. It wasn't quick.
Mm-hmm.
And she was beaten. And I mean, just all of it.
She fought, that
we know she fought because they talked about it in opening statements. His DNA was under her fingernails. She fought.
So when you said that you were disgusted by it, I was modding in your chat about their title. You didn't even dwell too much on it. I think it was during a break from court or whatever. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned, that it turned your stomach, and it's I immediately was this, I'm going to talk about this on Saturday. And I want Jen to join me if she can. So I made this thumbnail. I set up our stream. I messaged you about it.
Yeah, you did.
But then, so I woke up and this is what it was. So it was changed from inside the truck. Dr. John reacts to the audio that shook the Athena Strand trial. Then it was this when I was they changed the title. They must have got bad feedback outside of Everyday with Jay. I don't even know if Everyday with Jay said something about the title being clickbait or just being inaccurate information, because there's no way you're reacting to the audio. Again, if you watch the video, obviously I read through the summary and they're talking about the case and the audio that we know was played for the jury and stuff. But the whole thing about clickbait and sensationalizing this and cheapening Athena's memory and essentially,
right.
You're acting like that person in my chat said earlier. They thought that they had the exclusive. And they were wow.
Exactly. That they got people to their channel. And the fact of the matter is, I think personally, it would be really reprehensible for Dr. John to opine and have any type of professional opinion, because let's be real, that is what sets Hidden True Crime apart from somebody like me, right? I suppose I could call Dr. B, but I'll tell you right now, I would never call Dr. B for this kind of a case, and I definitely wouldn't call her and ask her to give an opinion on reporting from inside the courtroom. Okay. First of all, it's all the way in bad taste. It's a 7-year-old child that was murdered, a 7-year-old little girl. That's what we're talking about here. to take the most salacious and disturbing element of the crime and use a clickbaity title to get people to your channel, when really the fact of the matter is nobody and shouldn't know. I don't want to know what's on that audio. I don't need to hear it, and neither does their audience. There's a reason it wasn't streamed. And in fact, now I'm getting irritated. Dr. John, I mean, you're a psychologist, right? So why don't you explain to your audience, this would be a much better thing for you to break down, what they're really trying to explain with the mitigation evidence. What is it? What does the testimony really translate to?
Well, no, instead it appears like YouTube Bad Actor says is John actually said something about, imagine a FedEx driver could take your child. Aren't we already aware that anyone could take our children? Like, they'll clickbait you, and then they give you the most generic like rundown of whatever the case entails. But the clickbait is more than just drawing you in. It's beyond disgusting in this case, particularly because so my other issue besides the clickbait aspect of it,
it's exploitative as fuck. Like, why Dr. John, you're a psychologist, right? You at one point worked in the capacity where you would have testified for court. You would interview sex offenders. Why don't you break down the forensic psychiatrists and psychologists and the language, the speech and language pathologist testimony? Why don't you do that? Why do you need to focus on the most salacious, exploitative part? You know, I've never, not once, and I'm not judging it. I'm a little judgy with them, but I don't understand why they use this picture of Athena in the truck to put her. Look, just be respectful. You don't need that you don't need that exploitative thumbnail.
She needs to pay for her plastic surgery, Jen. She's got to get the clicks. They're up to 90K on the video. So here's the thing that I also noticed. So after I made my thumbnail, which is on the screen right now, and I showed you what they changed the video title to.
Right.
We don't know why, but that was changed today. Hold on, let me pull that up again.
What is he going to do? Is he going to throw another freaking Brad Pitt anecdote in there? Like, get bent, Dr. John.
Right. So what made them change that to Tanner Horner unmasks the psychology behind the Athena Strand case? Like, yes, that would have been a good video. Like, we wanted, like you said, break down the medical experts. So yeah, excited utterance. Your question earlier, did they have the audio? No, nobody
has the audio except for the court.
And even when the trial is completed, we're assuming that it wouldn't be, appropriate for the public's consumption. So then why tell me I go live with you now and they changed it back to the original title? But I already have this screenshot that they had changed it.
All right, I'll tell you what. Do you have more of a screenshot? Because this is what I'm curious about. I'd like to see the analytics on this video. What was the view count with the original title, and what was the view count when the title was changed?
Yeah, they changed it because they don't have the audio. It's clickbait. Yeah, but now they've changed it back because look, this is current 90K. Earlier when I made the thumbnail, I sent it to you and it was 76K views.
Let me just fact check my friend Amber right now. Just to make sure.
I've got it. Oh wait. Yes. And no, I cut it off.
Amber.
It's kind of blurry. I know. But
well, I believe you because it's cut off in my picture too. Okay, so look.
So after I made the thumbnail saying they're trying to change the title, which obviously was clickbait, they changed it back like from what the one they changed.
Because they were A and B testing. You know how we have that thing in our studio where you can put in a title and then you can change. You can change it. You can do it with the thumbnail and you can do it with the title, and YouTube will give you analytics based on, okay, you had it and it's always the same amount of days. This many days, the title had this many views. Then it changes. I think it's like every 4 days. Then after the fourth day, then they put the other title in, and they run analytics on that for 4 days. And they might have stopped it. But I'll tell you this, because this is the one element of the crime that nobody has. There's a reason nobody has it. Okay. Don't get me wrong. But the bottom line is, for them, why would any, this appears to be something exclusive. They've already, had some real negative press last summer. It wasn't looking good for the HTC crew over there. And they needed something, and this was it. And they did it once again off of the back of a victim. But this time, the victim is now a 7-year-old little girl. It's disgusting.
And not like, and also like and Chad has been saying, like you said, say you had access to the audio. Why in God's name would you want your husband reacting to it for like monetization? Like,
Why?
it's out the fact that they have a channel, like obviously that's how she makes her money, but like think about it with a dynamic, that's her husband.
Right. Why though first of all, why would you want to have your psychologist husband react to audio that the reporters described? Look, I remember the judge coming back, like when he finally spoke again, and he didn't speak until almost the end of the day, because that bit of video was the last thing that was played of him cleaning out the truck. And you could hear the judge. You could tell that he had been crying. The jurors were sobbing. They were wailing. Everybody in that courtroom, including Rebecca Lopez. And like I said, I've watched her since I was like 10 years old. Okay. I've never seen her shook like that. And she was shook. There's a reason it wasn't played for the public.
Mm-hmm.
It's just gross.
It is. And
but somebody in the chat was asking about the title. It's clickbaity, right? But it's not an outright lie, okay? It's the way that the words are put in the order that they're put in them that would cause one to think that they have something exclusive. But as long as they talk about what we all heard, which is reported from inside of the courtroom, then it's not a lie and it doesn't violate terms of service. They did not review the audio transcript. Nobody has that.
Right.
Nobody. That is never going to come out, ever.
I just, I mean, I can read the summary of,
let's see what they had to say. Do this. Okay. Let's not give them no.
It's and plus I can only take her so much. I think once I made it a couple minutes in, which I might play a little bit, but she's talking about her new, actually I'll show you. They made like a post about it too. And you can tell that it seems as though Grayson like pretty much runs the channel by just the way how this is worded. So this is before the video even came out. This is the filming. Coming soon, Dr. John and Lauren are back at the new kitchen table to discuss a difficult topic many of you have been asking Dr. John to weigh in on. Join them for this important conversation. So see how it says join them, like instead of in the post, like join us, or we're going to be,
Right. It's talking in the third person, which is Grayson, who, by the way, Grayson, I need for you to learn how to use a damn transition in your editing. They're not complicated. They're very easy to use, but your abrupt changes, you can tell where the edit is. It's not very professional. Just use a fade to black, like maybe 0.5 of a second. It'll be fine. Promise. You're welcome. Thank me later.
I totally agree.
It's terrible. I mean, there's times when that.
I
wrecked it. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. I remember this one because if I'm not mistaken, this is the same, and this is the same reunion where Tamara tells oh God, what is her name? Shut up, Jesus Jugs.
The other woman, and she's like,
Alexis.
how do you know what's good for me?
Yeah, and she tells Alexis, shut up, Jesus Jugs. It's my favorite.
Oh my word. So wait, okay. Also, before we pull up their video, who is this, Jen?
Is that the Go-Go Beach killer? Because that's who it looks like. I know it's supposed to be Dr. John, but tell me it doesn't look like him. It doesn't look like Rex Heuermann.
Girl. It's Rex Heuermann, and I asked ChatGPT to put John's face on it. You can't even tell it.
You're going to get us in trouble, Amber.
I had to ask. It's on me. It's on me. But yeah.
Well, Crafty Chris asks, how does his reacting not compromise his degree? Well, he earned the degree. You know, as long as he did the classes and he passed all the classes and he did all of the things, he earned his degree. It's his, and he can, because this happens a lot. There are psychiatrists and psychologists that are asked to come on news channels and give their opinion. You're allowed to do that. Like, it's not that it's this specific situation, this specific set of circumstances. Like, I think a far more productive use of his time was, like I said, why don't you explain to your audience, to the public, what mitigation circumstances are? Why don't you break down what the forensic psychiatrist testified to?
That's the easiest thing for them to come up with for his position on the channel.
Right. And that is what people actually need to understand, because several times, almost after every single, one of the last questions that they now started asking after Dr. Ryan left the stand, the defense has asked their witnesses, their expert witnesses, are you saying that autism caused him to commit this crime? And every one of them has said no. And are you saying that fetal alcohol spectrum disorder is what caused Tanner Horner to commit this crime? And they're all testifying no. They're not using it as an excuse. There's nothing that they could get up there, and they wouldn't even, because there isn't anything, but they can't, and they won't. Nothing that they're going to testify to explains why Tanner did what he did. What they're up there to do is because there's two questions in Texas that the jury has to answer, and both have to be answered unanimously. The first question they have to ask or answer unanimously is this: does the defendant pose a continued risk to society? Well, society in this context would be to other prisoners, okay? And if they all decide unanimously on that one, then they move to the second question. And the second question is, it asks if they find any mitigating circumstances that would make life without the possibility of parole the better punishment, okay? And they all have to agree on that unanimously. And they are going to, but they'll get like definitions of what is, of what mitigating circumstances are and all of that stuff. What they're presenting is for the jury to find that there's mitigating circumstances to keep him from getting the death penalty. That's it. He doesn't have an insanity defense, which an insanity defense requires that the person at the time of the crime didn't know right from wrong, which everybody who's evaluated Tanner, even Mimi, said that Tanner definitely knew right from wrong, which we all, so there's no insanity defense. I think that this evidence that they're putting on, I think they recognize after that audio that they have less than a 1% chance that any of these jurors are going to believe that any of these are mitigating circumstances. I think they know their client is going to get the death penalty. What they're doing is preserving it for the appeals process. If they had not have presented this evidence, then Tanner would have a way to file for ineffective assistance of counsel. Okay. And he's going to if he gets the death penalty, he gets automatic appeals anyways. I think that the state of Texas, all the way through the courts, all the way up through the Texas Supreme Court, is going to uphold this conviction and keep it at a death penalty. What I'm not so sure about is the U.S. Supreme Court. Because the U.S. Supreme Court ruled a long, long time ago that we don't execute people with intellectual disabilities. It's been found to be cruel and unusual punishment. Now, autism spectrum is not an intellectual disability. That's not how it's defined in the DSM, the way that I understand it. However, that's not all he has been diagnosed with. And I'm wondering how that is going to play out when it gets to the U.S. Supreme Court. So that's it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. Like I said, I think this is going to go in the direction of justice like it should, and anyone who needs to find a place to watch the rest of it, because I think the rest is kind of going to be the finalizing of his sentence. So
right,
love to just watch the sentencing day.
Okay, so this is what's left. The defense has not formally rested in front of the jury, okay, although they are expected to rest Monday. Then the state has they have the opportunity, and they will put on a rebuttal case. They have but one witness, an expert who evaluated Tanner as well, that will be testifying. Then they will rest. Then there will be closing arguments. I think the charging conference has pretty much taken place already on the in-between days. So I think the jury instructions are ready to go. And then there will be closing arguments, jury instructions, and then they will deliberate. That's expected. The jury is supposed to be deliberating late on the 4th of May.
Okay.
No, that's a lie. The 5th, because May 4th, tomorrow's the 3rd. Monday is May 4th. Right. So May 5th. May 5th is when they're supposed to be deliberating. Late into May 5th. I don't know. They've been stopping court at around no later than like 4:00 local time. So Karen Cole, UK lawyer, didn't Brian Kohberger's legal team try to argue his autism to avoid the death penalty? Yes.
Yeah.
They did. And so this is okay. This is the type of evidence. If Brian Kohberger had gone to trial and been found guilty, then it would have moved to the penalty phase, and the state would have presented all of their aggravating circumstances, and then the defense would have presented their mitigating circumstances. And this is likely this is the type of evidence we were likely to see had Brian Kohberger gone to trial as well.
Well, for the summary for this video, according to the YouTube little summarizer, It says, this video featuring criminal psychologist Dr. John Mathias and investigative journalist Lauren Mathias provides a deep dive into the penalty phase of the trial of Tanner Horner, who pleaded guilty to the kidnapping and murder of 7-year-old Athena Strand. The discussion focuses on the psychology facets of the crime and the jury's process in deciding between life in prison and death penalty. The nature of the crime, the host discusses the horror of the case, comparing it to a real-life horror story or a tragic inversion of the Little Red Riding Hood, where the big bad wolf masks his intent as the trusted delivery driver. The evidence, the jury was exposed to the harrowing audio evidence from the inside the truck. The host analyzes the monstrosity of the behavior, and the breakdown of the safety of the case represents what the case represents, and the why and explanations. The defense has presented various explanations to humanize Horner, including claims of PTSD, autism, brain abnormalities, and difficult childhood with a history of domestic violence. The host discusses the crime, citing Horner's own remarks to Athena and the state in which she was found. So again, missed opportunity for him to really go in on the experts and kind of explain.
That's really, yeah. That would have been
Big
so
mistake.
much better.
Big, huge.
That would have been better, yeah, for sure.
Hold on, let's see how much we can get through, because
Okay, then hey Chief, hey, I see everybody in the chat. I'm sorry I didn't say hello. Hello, I'm sorry I was rude. Hi everyone, it's good to see you guys. Thanks for joining, Amber.
and if anyone wants to subscribe to Jen, I've got it pinned. It's in the chat pinned. Let's see how much of this we can stomach.
I know, like the first 10 or 15 minutes is all about their damn dining room table that nobody gives a shit about.
Right.
Sorry,
I'm
not appropriate for Amber's channel. Let me behave.
Why did they
Amber,
include
get a hold of me? What are you doing? Why are you letting me run amok?
Is this the highlight of their marriage or something?
I don't know.
And watch the dynamic between them when she he's like, good job. And then they don't even look at, just watch.
I think it confronts us with some brutal realities about life. Brutal realities like a FedEx driver.
Oh my gosh.
Where the fuck do you live, bro? What is okay, look. It is, I don't think it confronts us with the brutal reality. I think the most people are living in this reality where we recognize that we have to be very watchful over our children, but we also have to teach our children how to help themselves as best that we can, because they're going to be out in the world and we can't be there at all times. I think most of us are aware of that reality. And for the love of Pete, how are you going to use the children's fairy tale, or the Grimm fairy tale of Little Red Riding Hood?
That's like how I would explain it to my 5-year-old.
Yeah, but it's backwards. Little Red,
Right.
the wolf dressed up and disguised himself as the grandmother, but she came to the house. Maybe the Three Little Pigs would probably be more apropos with the big bad wolf wanting to come in.
Yeah, or
because
even
the big bad wolf shows up at the house. Which one?
Snow White. I mean, she shows up as the witch to the door when Snow White's home alone.
Right, exactly.
I mean, and not only that, really, John, that's the best thing you come up with.
You had all that education. I know you had to write papers. I know you have, come on, man. And that's the best analogy or metaphor that you can come up with. Come on. Oh my gosh. While you're still trying to be dramatic. Let me mute so I don't have any more emotional and then turn into oratory.
True.
Yeah, oral outburst. And that fucking moo-moo, Jesus.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, let me just mute. I'm going to go smoke a cigarette and listen this way I don't have any more outbursts anymore. I'm out of control. I can feel myself.
With these two, you might need 2 cigarettes.
Yeah, it can feel myself
May
get
not be a
jelly.
safe person. A FedEx driver or a delivery driver may be someone who can abduct your child.
We're back.
In case anyone wasn't aware, the FedEx driver may be someone who could kidnap your child. It's like, hello, buddy, anybody. It could be anybody. Like, we're back. We're putting on our display of happiness together. Look at this.
Kind of, but at a different table.
Yep, different table.
What do you think?
I think I like
I think it's expensive.
it because you love it.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't know if I could ever say that about our old table. Actually, no, I did like it because you loved it. That's why we had it for 10 years.
Over 10 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you have.
I've had my kitchen table, not to brag or anything, but I've had my kitchen table, like, I think I got it in 2012.
Longer.
Yeah, I know.
I know.
So I do have a little nostalgia for the table, especially because that's where we started this.
There's a little bit more space,
Mhm.
so there's still room. We'll be saving
And
a seat
it's-
from the very beginning of our podcast. We said we'll be saving a seat for you so people can listen to our conversations at our dinner table. The table looks different. I did go not what you thought. We just
Yeah.
thought we were gonna get a wood table. No,
Right,
no.
true.
Let me go shopping and I'll find.
Yeah, I don't know what the material.
Lauren likes to monetize everything sacred in a home. She monetizes their date night, and on their Patreon lets her audience join in. And then now she's monetizing their dinner table where, for me, it's sacred because it's like family time together. But here they are. She's, oh, now we can have everyone at our new dinner table.
It's
We
But-
have, though, a
but
difficult
good
show.
job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for being with me back at the table for this really difficult show, because what we're going to be talking about today is the kidnapping and murder of Athena Strand, a first grader who essentially went out to get her gift, a package of Barbies from a FedEx driver. She didn't know it was Barbies, but she knew that exciting packages were coming because it was Christmas time.
Mhm.
And she was met by a FedEx driver who then picked her up, put her in the back of the truck. We've gone over everything that has happened to little Athena. We now have 3 episodes up, the full story and everything happening at the trial of Tanner Horner, the man not just accused of murdering.
So they have 3 episodes up. This one alone, we're not going to get through it all because it's 2 hours long. And none of it is John breaking down in layman's terms the medical experts throughout the trial, which is his quote unquote expertise.
Little Athena, but actually he has pleaded guilty. And during this trial, they're not deciding guilt or innocence. That's done. They're deciding whether or not he should have life behind bars or the death.
I know the transition from talking about their new table that they bought to the murdered child case is in the same breath. The transitions are as harsh as Grayson's editing in this, with no transitions. For those who don't know editing terminology, a transition is like when you see something kind of mesh together, like smoothly, like in between frames of or image on the screen. Instead, they don't have anything that makes it appealing to the eye. It's hard to explain, I guess, if you're not an editor, but it makes all the difference in the professionalism of your video, basically.
Death penalty, and the jury is having to listen to everything. In this case, I'm going to be really honest. I have needed to check my mental health. It's been very, very difficult. I didn't even know if I wanted to cover it. I was having a really hard time.
Her mental health, she didn't know if she could even cover it. She was having a really hard time, but we're still going to cheapen the victim and have a clickbait title and make it seem as though my husband, a psychologist, is going to react to the audio that only the courtroom has and only the jury and those in the courtroom listen to, but we're going to make it seem like an exclusive and we've been able to listen to it. Like, how are you that traumatized? You don't know if you're going to talk about the case, but then not too traumatized to make a buck off it. Like, come on. And again, of course, the part of being on YouTube is to get your videos viewed, but this attempt to have your audience and everyone see your title and think that you have the exclusive to this audio of a murder of a 7-year-old and a attempted essay. Like, stop with this whole like act right here. And
Right.
John, his concerned face. Like,
Actually, he looks like this is a hell of a pause, Amber. I just want to congratulate you on that, because he really looks like he's mean mugging her. Like, bitch, what the fuck?
he's like, you're the one that begged me to do this episode with you because we need the money because we just bought a new table.
And we didn't even need, our old one was just fine.
You know it. You know it.
I mean,
Why we're doing the trial.
first of all, let me just say this. Yes, it is an incredibly difficult trial. The testimony has been very, very difficult. Not difficult in different ways. The prosecutor's testimony or evidence, their case was difficult because it was the evidence of the crime, and it was difficult to hear, and it was difficult to picture that sweet 7-year-old little girl, Athena, with that giant bow in her hair. She looks adorable. She just looks so sweet. And she's a beautiful little girl. And then here, particularly the medical examiner's testimony, it was difficult. And when we watched Rebecca Lopez's, she and the I forget the other, Terry Bennett Hill or something like that. Benton Hill is the one who was the legal analyst that day, and she was in the courtroom. But to watch those two women try to grapple with reading back the notes that they took, knowing that that is what they heard, right? That was difficult. And the next day, we didn't have court. We didn't have court until Wednesday. There was a break from, I think it was Thursday, Friday, or maybe it was Friday. It was Friday. No, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, and then we were back in court on Wednesday. And even there, I didn't say anything about how I was feeling with the audio until the chat did, and I responded, because I felt like an a-hole for saying it was rough on me when Athena, first of all, she endured it. Then her mom, her dad, her aunt, her stepmother are all sitting in the courtroom, and they have been sitting. They've been there for every pretrial. They've been there for every day of the trial, to have to listen to that. Now, they didn't listen to the audio. They left, but they had an opportunity to listen to it before it went to trial. And they couldn't take it, and I don't blame them. I wouldn't want to hear it either.
I don't think I could.
I don't think I could do it either.
No.
And then, but I didn't make it about me. And it feels like in every single case that she covers, somehow, some way, it always comes back to being about her, which I think adds an additional layer of fucked upness due to the fact of what she covers. I don't know how she's able to relate anything back to her in these cases, quite honestly, because we're talking about murder.
Oh,
I don't get it.
The way, and I don't know. I would be so nervous if I was her and Rex Heuermann was looking at me this way.
Stop, Amber.
Okay. Sorry. But no, like, and here's the other thing. She's all like, I debated if we could cover this or not. Girl, you have 3 episodes. This one alone is 2 hours long. Stop making it seem like you don't know if you could handle this case.
Determined
Like,
that was a lie.
We all knew going into it, this trial was going to be difficult. Okay. And that was before we even learned, which we learned on the first day, that he pleaded guilty, right? We all knew it was going to be a difficult trial. But you guys know my policy, which is if they endured it, if the victim endured it, we can hear it, particularly when it comes to children. They endured it. They are the most vulnerable of members of our society and need the most protection. And I think the thing that irritated me the most about this defense is that I don't think there's anybody that enjoys covering children's cases. So that's seems like redundant to even have to put out there, announce. I don't particularly care to cover children's cases, but I'm always willing to do it because I'm always hopeful that there's some bit of information that we can learn from the trial that we can, take and apply and prevent. If we prevent even one child from being a victim, it's worth it.
100%.
And they never talk about that. They never talk about
awareness.
We talked extensively in the chat about how can we protect our children, because it reminded me of the old Sesame Street song, Who Are the People in Your Neighborhood? Mm-hmm. And they talk about the mailman. They talk, and now with everything, particularly since the pandemic, right? More things are getting delivered more often. You don't actually have to leave your house. You can have everything sent to you.
And these companies aren't doing the best, probably background checks. Like a lot of them are desperate for workers as well. So it's like their turnover rate of employees, like, so it might not be the same delivery person you're used to or something like that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's very changeable in these neighborhoods.
But people also have to remember, Amber, that you can do the most stringent background check ever, but if a person has not been convicted of a crime, it's not going to show up. So,
and why can't John do a psychologist's opinion of how to raise awareness to your children?
Right. What kind of discussion should you have? For example, a FedEx driver, an Amazon driver, particularly around the holidays, they are put in a position of trust. So how do you what kind of things should we be telling our children and our grandchildren, and how to have an effective conversation? Because statistically, stranger kidnappings and murders of children under a certain age are actually relatively low. Their circle is very small. People are, most of the time, they're very watched and all of that, right? So those stranger abductions are actually something that's very low. But when you talk to children about what a stranger is, it is a very abstract concept for them to understand. Because I was talking with my granddaughter about this and and the first thing she asked me is, do strangers look scary? Because to a child, what you're talking about is somebody they don't know, wanting them to go with them, right? Mm-hmm. And that is a scary concept. So their little brains immediately conjure up some sort of monster, because that's how children process things. But the fact is, they look like everybody else. If we could, if there was something about them externally that we could see that labeled them as a monster, well, then we'd be able to protect our kids, right? That's what makes it insidious. It's hard, but he is in a unique position, especially because he has interviewed sex offenders and evaluated their risk of reoffending for the court. He's talked to them. He is in a unique position to educate the public on the way that they think, how they groom, all of the things that would actually be beneficial and would actually educate and raise awareness. And he's in a unique position, being a psychologist, that he could talk to his audience, to the public, about how to have these difficult conversations with your children. Especially
brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Why are you giving us more of a rundown of it than Dr. John?
I know, over here with, thank you. Over here with my good enough diploma.
Exactly. And that just goes to show you that, which is sort of my conversation about last night, the JLR being two-faced, and YouTubers tend to be like, they portray something, but they're actually, if you really remove the fluff, what have we learned so far from John here is even a FedEx driver could kidnap your kid. In case you didn't know that before you
Right.
video.
Right. In case you didn't know that, some weirdo driving a big, huge truck can kidnap your child. You know, who would have thought?
Right.
Trial in batches, essentially, rather than every night, which we often do here at Hidden, because it's just been a lot to process and a lot to take in. But as I followed the trial and I think the story, I realized that for me, we needed to talk about Athena because everyone needs to know, I think, what happened to her. And whatever happens to Tanner Horner, the world now knows what he did. And they know because of video and audio that the jury has had.
Well, plus he confessed and he's pleading guilty. So like,
Right.
why do we need to dig into the audio and the visual?
Why have a standalone video just about this specific aspect of the crime when, like I stated 5 minutes ago, the unique position that Dr. John is in and what he could do that was beneficial? Why, you know, I could understand if they were doing like daily recaps of the trial and recapped that day. And of course, that's part of it. So you recap that I could understand. But that is not what this is. This is something else. And I don't have.
They can't even look at the camera as they're like the fake concern, like Amy Boston said, and hello, good to see you. It's like, the way that they're trying to make it seem like, you know, and because of this audio, and like they can't even look the camera in the face. They know that they haven't heard the audio. They know that the audio is so atrocious that like, but they're brought to this table together. They're about to record 2 hours. You know, they sat there longer than 2 hours because they did editing. Poor editing. Sorry, Grayson, but we've talked about
it's terrible
more than once. But yeah, the disingenuous vibe, how I don't understand how people don't see it.
I don't either. I don't. And the thing is, I think it has to happen. People see things when they're ready to see them. Something at some point, these two will do something that will hit some of their subscribers wrong, and they'll leave. But then they'll always have a base. So it is what it is. But I just find it disgusting that they do this. I really do. And that's just my opinion, and I'm entitled to it.
Absolutely. And the thing is, when their video is almost 100K views on this, and I don't know like how long people get through it before they realize like, oh, these people don't have the audio, and they click off. But I mean, they're making thousands just off of getting people to think that they have this like exclusive like clickbait, like, oh, Dr. John's going to react to the audio like a psychologist.
Right. We're gonna hear more. You know, sorry, I had to cough. We're going to hear more details about the audio, and I think part of the reason that people, I don't think this is why the audio should never and probably will never be out, and why I don't think it's beneficial to continue to go over these the audio over and over and over and discuss what was in the audio ad nauseum, because there is a certain, and Dr. John is certainly well aware of this, there is a subsection of predators who this is the kind of thing that they prefer to hear about children in this manner being hurt. Not just the essay part of it, but the murder, those details. And that is one of the reasons why it was never going to be streamed. That is, so for the media, and Dr. John should know this. And it's one of the reasons why I will never, not ever, cropped or not, zoomed in or not, I will never put the pictures, the autopsy pictures, or the crime scene photos of any child on my channel. When I stream, Letitia's trial. We streamed it. The way that it was done is there was a static camera. It was inside of the courtroom. The feed was the feed. There was no delay. And yes, there were autopsy photos shown quickly of Gannon on Court TV. Court TV, I forget how they did it because they were doing it from WebEx and then they broadcast it. So I forget what it is that they ended up doing, but then the camera was away from those pictures. So
I feel like the new trial is just the case that Lauren would jump onto with Gannon.
Of course, because then she can sit up there. Can you believe that this is so terrible? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
I didn't even know if I could cover this because it's so awful. Comes up with hours and hours longs of episodes and clickbait titles.
Exactly.
Listen to inside that FedEx truck. But I know I've jumped ahead. We have a lot to go over, and I'm going to let you take over. I have a lot of questions. People have a lot of questions, and I'm grateful that you, as a criminal psychologist, a forensic and clinical psychologist, forensic also known as criminal, can answer.
Oh my gosh, we get it. It's in the title. It's in the thumbnail. Like, he's a psychologist. We get it.
We get it. He practiced forensic psychology at one point.
It's clinical. We get it.
We get it.
There's some questions and help us make sense of this horrific case, because it hasn't just affected me. It's affected a lot of people, but a lot of people are also listening to the trial because I think a lot of people we want justice for Athena so bad, but we also, I don't know, we want to make sense of, I mean, you can't make sense of something like this, but
Yeah, I just, it's interesting because this is one of the few cases after it happened years ago. It's been years now, but I told you that if there's any trial I want to attend, this might be it.
you did.
And the reason that's true is because
What?
there's a lot of reasons, but
What? Okay, I got to hear his reasons, but it's so bizarre. And remember, he's not even, as far as what we know, like, he's not even like a practicing psychologist.
No.
So it's like, why did this stand out to you? That I don't know.
I think this is one of those trials where I felt some urgency to bear witness to this particularly atrocious event.
Yeah.
As a
Huh?
He wanted to bear witness to this?
I think this is terrible wording. Grayson, if you're writing their scripts, you should be fired immediately. I don't think John and Lauren realize how off-putting the order in which they put their words are.
I feel like this isn't even, I think this is John just spitting off the cuff, and he's just atrocious in himself. And like, okay, this terrible event, this is a 7-year-old murder case. And
Yeah. And yet hasn't hit
right around their age.
Exactly. And yet he hasn't hit on the part of this that would make, I'm waiting to see, but the part that would be interesting in my opinion for him would be the testimony from the forensic psychiatrist and psychologist, the professionals who evaluated him. That's it.
Right.
So what do you need to bear witness to again, you freaking weirdo?
Exactly.
psychologist who deals with criminals a lot. I felt
when's the last time you dealt with a criminal, John?
A lot too. Like, he doesn't even say who deals with criminals, like in my career or in my past. Like, no, it deals with criminals a lot. Your wife?
Yeah.
Sorry, shots fired.
Pew pew.
like this particular crime
This particular crime.
very difficult, and so difficult and so unthinkable that it was a type of crime where I really considered being in that courtroom. And
I don't know. I'm still not. It's weird.
Yeah, it is. Why though? Could you get to the why? Like, listen, y'all know I'm wordy AF, and I'm trying not to be judgy because I'm guilty AF of being wordy AF too. Okay. And sometimes it takes me a lot of words to come around to my point that I could have said 10 minutes ago. But Come on, man.
Let's see. Maybe it gets better.
I'm bearing witness to this
Yeah.
every day, and I really feel for this family.
But I couldn't do it. Just,
Yeah.
everyone, like I wasn't going.
So in the end, I decided not to, but there's some cases, there's very few cases. There's maybe a few cases that we've covered that touch what I call the endless abyss of unbearable sadness.
Yeah.
And I mean, every case we do touches the abyss of sadness, but some of them go deeper than others. And this is one of those.
Okay, I get it. I know this case really is sad. We've talked about it for about an hour about how awful it is. But like, I don't believe, I feel like he's just like curious of like the morbid details. And like, of course, in his field, I kind of understand it because Tanner, it's been complex. All the experts and his history with like his teachers and everyone who's talked about him and stuff. But John won't go into that aspect of any of this. Like they're just kind of focused on, oh, it's such a horrific event.
Right. But I think for every person who has lost a family member to a murder, it is the eternal abyss of sadness. So every case, really, some cases, the facts surrounding the cases are more horrific than others. But to put it the way he did is if there is a level to get the fuck out of here. The sadness for the victims' families is permanent forever. What are you talking about, bro?
Right. And honestly, it's like, it's more like the abyss of evil in this. And
right.
We want to hear your opinion of the evil of Tanner. Like you're
right.
the psychologist. Why are you thinking about like, they always try to equate themselves as like the family's level of like victimhood.
Exactly. Like they're crime victims themselves. And they have now decided to speak and analyze cases using that, from that lens, but they're not. And John, Dr. John, why don't you discuss Tanner's diagnoses? Why don't you discuss why, based on the testimony, because you don't have his record, so you're limited, but why don't you discuss based on the testimony, why his psychologist and psychiatrist did not diagnose him as having antisocial personality disorder? Is he even a candidate for that? You could have done all kinds of stuff, jackass. Instead, here we go. We're going to have to listen to you and Lauren talk about your table while Lauren makes sudden jerky head movements. Lauren, if you want to flip your hair, just fucking flip it. Okay? I know that's what you're trying to do. So just stop playing with these people. Just uncross your hands. Open your eyes all the way.
She's like, do I look sad enough?
I'm trying to look, it's not even sad. She's trying to morose enough.
Right. And thank you, Delana. So good to have you here tonight and for your 19 months of membership. I really appreciate that.
Is the endless abyss apparent on my face?
Right.
Cases where I think there's an endless well of sadness to be dealt with here. And
it just hurts
we'll
my
talk
entire
about
thought
that.
of humanity, honestly. So, yeah.
I think sometimes seeing the malevolence and cruelty of humans and the monstrosity of humans can be really, really difficult. And we're going to talk about that more. But that when I first learned.
Wait a minute. Grayson used a transition. She did use a transition. If you go back about 5 seconds and slow it down, you can see it. Not a good transition, but one. You're getting there, Grayson. Good for you.
Look at this look at them looking at each other.
If you just look at the picture, you'd know, and that's all information you had. It looks like they're having an argument.
Right. He's like, did you really just say that?
How could you talk shit about my table? If you had issues with my table, why didn't you confront the table directly instead of this passive aggressive bullshit about this new table? We need a new table. There's nothing wrong with the old table.
Don't make me throw my glasses.
You're barely even here. We don't even eat at this table. We're not even using the table to eat on right now. We're using it to do our podcast from. Why didn't we get a fucking desk?
I know. I don't get it, but whatever.
When I first learned about this crime, when it broke, and I learned that it was a delivery driver, we were at the time we were living in a home where we had a gate that was out several feet, well, quite a distance from our front door. And I remember at the time, and we had a way to ring into the house from the gate.
Get on with it.
And I remember our child would frequently hear the doorbell and run out to the gate and to greet a delivery person. And I remember thinking at the time,
I don't want to hear anything else you have to say after this. Who doesn't teach their children not to run and answer a doorbell?
Let's hear what John's explanation is.
Yeah, let's hear it, John.
Well, when Lauren's out, doing her trials, she's the breadwinner, as you know. So, if she's not there, then I guess no one was warning them. She's like, wait, this is the first I'm hearing about this.
Yeah. This is your parenting when I'm away. You're definitely not getting in these panties tonight, John.
She looks for any reason.
You're going to sleep in your own room tonight. We're not pushing the beds together.
Sorry, Rex.
This is before the Athena Strand abduction, but after the case, I was haunted.
Haunted
by the image of our son. Just, we kept the door locked most of the time. We kept it shut, but there were occasions when it would be open, and he would hear that doorbell and he would sprint out to get packages, and I would try to run after him, but inevitably.
Not going to say it. Not going to say it. Intrusive thoughts.
John was running after him. Okay, we'll leave it there.
There were times when I couldn't catch him because he was so fast. He was a really fast little kid. He was so fast and so determined, right, that he would get out there to these packages, and I would try to get behind him and, follow up and make sure he was safe. A lot of times, since we mainly work from home, a lot of times we're dependent upon delivery drivers in our daily lives, in our daily routines, and we just take it for granted.
Right.
That people deliver packages or they deliver food.
And then they leave.
Anytime, all day, and they leave, and we don't give it much thought, right? And I think that's one of the interesting components of this story in this case, is that I believe that Athena saw it the same way.
Absolutely.
That here was a driver coming to her home, coming down her driveway, that
that's not even happened. That's not even how it happened. Did you even watch the trial? Look, let me clear it up for you guys, okay? Athena and her older stepsister were in their room, okay, which was and a lot of people have made a big thing about this, but once her stepmother took the stand and explained the situation, it made a lot more sense. Her father, Athena's father, has lived on that property his entire life, and his brother lives on that property as well. It's a big property. They're renovating and remodeling the main house. So everybody was living in these like converted sheds. They're more like tiny houses. Okay. Athena and her sister, hold on, Amber.
No worries. But yeah, HMS says Athena was outside playing while dinner was being cooked.
Right. So this is what happened. Athena and her sister were in their room, and they were supposed to be sorting laundry, their clothes. And the stepmom was in the kitchen making dinner. Okay. At some point, Athena left that shed, their bedroom, in order, I don't know if she was playing outside. We don't know because we haven't seen the abduction video. Okay. But at some point, somehow her and Tanner Horner crossed paths, likely because the way that their driveway is like a circular drive. And this is what I think happened based on the evidence. Okay. I think that the fates aligned in the most horrific way that day, that Tanner Horner and Athena crossed paths as he was delivering that package. I think that he used that package to lure Athena to walk, because it's described as her following him to the back of the truck. That's when he picks her up and puts her in the back of the truck. I think he might have told her, I got another package for you. But it's really heavy. Can you help me? Something. The bottom line is, where that package was found, there was also an abandoned mobile home on that property. It would be difficult if you don't know the neighborhood, which I don't think Tanner knew it that well, to know that it was abandoned completely, because yes, some of the windows were boarded up, but there was a vehicle in the carport. There were things, tools and stuff under the carport. So it was kind of difficult. Anyway, that package was not even like on the doorstep. It was sort of out in front of, kind of off to the side. And it was never scanned in to the to FedEx to denote that it had been delivered. And Athena's stepmom had ordered that from Walmart, and she had tracking on it. She was waiting to get the notification that it had been dropped off, and she didn't. And it was when the family and law enforcement were out looking for Athena that they saw this package. That package is how they tracked all of this back to Tanner Horner. But that she didn't go and run and answer the door. They crossed paths. This is why, and they're in the country. This is an incredibly rural area where there are kids playing out in their front yards all the time when the weather permits.
So obviously John doesn't watch Lauren's videos of the case breakdown.
Or she doesn't do a good enough breakdown because he ain't learned
on board, and she don't dare interrupt him and correct him, because that would make all hell would break loose between them, because he can't be corrected.
The stepmom talked about how they played out front a lot, that there was a tree the girls had that they played around, and that they had their little stuffed animals and stuff like that. She did talk about that, but I will never forget her testimony, and I paid particularly close attention to it because so many people had accused her on the internet. And so I wanted to hear what she had to say, and I just remembered it.
And here's a psychologist, and mind you, they've used psychologist reacts to whatever case they're talking about, and included the word Princeton psychologist. So you're telling me he's given the psychology of the child, the victim here, running out to Tanner, which isn't what it seems happened. So the psychology and victimology all wrong.
Right. You base that on the details of the crime, and you already have a detail incorrect.
Yeah. And you should be giving us the psychology behind the manipulation.
Correct.
The movements that Tanner made to lure her.
Correct. Especially because one of the last little journal entries at school that Athena made talked about stranger danger.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, that's a huge detail. So something about Tanner Horner on that day disarmed Athena in some way. And that's the thing about little children. This is why he, not him, but somebody in his, obviously not him, but somebody with his skill set, education, training, and knowledge would be the perfect person to talk about this, to explain to parents and grandparents, caregivers, teachers, how can we better protect our children? How can we what kind of things should we be saying? And what kind of, conversation should we be having?
He didn't even follow that up after he just related it back to their own personal experience with their son and how their son used to run to get the packages and stuff. And it's like, he never really came full circle about discussing that. You know what I mean? Missed opportunity once again.
Just, I mean, I'm going to start putting in my titles, y'all. Graduate of the world. Okay.
Reacts.
That's what reacts. That's what I'm going to put on. So I'm going to start titling and then followed by whatever the hell the video is about. Graduate, world graduate reacts. Okay. From now on.
Exactly.
She just probably, like most kids, like our child, when he would bolt out for packages.
They know who they are. There's someone that comes to the house. It's a safe person.
Right. It's a safe person.
Not a safe person.
What?
It's a stranger. What you're talking about is that these people that work for these companies are in a position of trust. No person that you do not know personally, and even the ones you do know personally, you should,
Your doctor and your parents are your only.
Exactly. That's who it's safe.
Oh my word.
And in December, it's like Santa Claus.
And that's what
it wasn't December either, you fucking idiot. It was November 30th. Yes. It was the very beginning of the Christmas holiday. The kids had just come back. This was their first week back.
She's got to make
Thanksgiving vacation.
She's got to
exactly.
It's like Santa Claus. No, your husband's outfit is.
Prosecutor said people should remember that this is quite common, right? This is a part of our lives now. 10 years ago, I don't know, delivery drivers were quite as embedded in our lives as they are now. But since COVID, this is what we anticipate, right? And so that, I think, in many ways makes this case really frightening. Because what we expect, safety and the presumptions of the ordinary world, those all get undermined here. Those all get shattered, our basic assumptions about safety.
Okay, hold on a minute. This is dramatic. Look, what happened was horrific. It was disgusting. But if that is the spin you're going to put on it, really, that should be safe for these teachers that prey on their students.
Yeah,
not a FedEx delivery driver.
It's like they're acting like this case alone is what woke them up to, like,
straight to the possibility that strangers hurt children.
And if that's the case, this case was in 2022. Your son, I don't know his exact age, but I'm assuming he's probably around 5 years old. Like, you were just then hit with the whole,
right,
we should be more careful because of strangers.
Right. Maybe we shouldn't let our child open the front door and dart out towards the street, which, look, delivery driver or not, that street is a street. Okay. Like, I don't know. Maybe because of the way I was raised, my dad, when he was a kid, he was outside playing, and there was this little girl she was playing, and she kicked the ball, and the ball rolled into the street, and he yelled for her to stop, and she didn't, and she got hit by a car. And the one thing that he said to me, like, my dad's given me parenting advice, but the one thing that, like, just completely stood out to me and stuck with me is that you have to teach your children. They must listen to you they must listen to you, and they must do what you tell them to do the first time. No hesitation, no questions, because their life may depend on it. What if they're playing in the yard, they kick the ball in the street, you yell stop, and they turn around and they say why, and while they keep running, boom, hit by a car. Or, just stuff like that. That is, John, how have you and Lauren made it to the age that you are? And you're just now you're having an Oprah light bulb moment about fucking strangers.
This is where it comes into play, which I can only bear a couple more minutes of this anyways.
Yeah, good.
But this comes into play, the highlight behind their, like, disingenuous content. Like, really, John, like, the drama behind, like, and this happened, and we realized
it just shakes the fabric of everything we ever thought we knew about the world.
Okay. Right. And mind you, they've been in true crime for years at this point. They know that Amber Alert is named after a girl that case is still unsolved. You know what I mean? Like, don't tell me you don't know all these things.
Right.
It kind of throws a wrench into kind of our existential understanding of the world. I want to talk about the picture they released of Tanner Horner
driving the FedEx truck. Little Athena looking at him.
Right. Little Athena standing up. When they released that picture, when this trial started,
This was they're on the struggle bus. This was a lot of editing right here.
Yeah.
This is multiple edits.
Because how are you going to talk about that photo? What is there to say?
What
We're
is
gonna talk about?
Right? Look, the day that they showed the photo, that was the first day of trial. Okay, is one of the earliest pieces of evidence that came in, and I remember the chat. We were all, first of all, everybody up until that point, based on anything that you could find publicly, was that his story was that he hit her with his FedEx truck. He put her in the back of the truck and he murdered her because he was afraid she would tell her father, and he would get fired from his job. That was what we heard for all these years. Well, I mean, since 2022. Right. So then we get to the trial. They show this picture. And we'd already heard from opening statements, which are not evidence. So yes, you listen to them, but then you want to see what the evidence is. But that picture, I thought, she looks apprehensive, but not terrified. And it was a bit of a jolt. I wasn't ready for that. The chat wasn't ready for that. We were like, what? We talked about it in the moment, not 4 fucking weeks later, John and Lauren.
And not enough to where you would need your conversation edited with all these transitions. Look at
it's terrible.
I want to talk about the picture they released of Tanner Horner
Driving the FedEx truck. Little Athena looking at him.
Edit.
Right. Little Athena standing up. When they released that picture, when this trial started, that was so difficult. It brought me back to those memories of our son sprinting out. Right. And now that image
not even
changed
pause it.
to a child, not necessarily our child, but any child in a delivery truck with a delivery person.
I don't think I've ever seen a scarier image in true crime, honestly.
It's so haunting. The stuff of nightmares, right?
She's with a kidnapper, and we know from the truck, she said to him, "Are you a kidnapper?" I picture her saying that to him in that moment.
Yes,
that's not what she was saying in that moment, though, Edit. That's not what she was saying to him in that moment. See, you didn't pay attention.
She just paid attention enough to put it on her thumbnail for another.
Right. Just enough for salacious details. They had an entire conversation. If you look at that picture, she is questioning, but not terrified yet, not afraid yet. That's because that part, I think, I wasn't in the truck, so I don't know, but based on context clues of what was said about what he asked her and what was reported, was about where she went to school, if she had horses,
because his level of manipulation,
correct,
which John should be honing in on.
She asked about his lunchbox that he had, that kind of stuff. And are we at your house yet? Because he told her, she asked, where are we going? And he answered her and said, we're going to hang out. See, this is where
they just do it a
disservice. It's sorry, Amber. Let me go smoke a cigarette because this is going to make me erupt. Can you imagine, you guys? Just put yourselves in my position, okay? I've streamed this trial every single day, and while I am eternally grateful for everybody that spends even 1 minute, 1 second, a minute, and listens to me, okay? The fact of the matter is, if you go look at the views on my court coverage, and I'm streaming the full day, every day for the last 4 weeks, all my videos all together don't combine to 90,000 views.
Well, I think that they pay for the promotions.
Even if but still, Amber, I mean, the bottom line is that people are listening or tuning into them because they feel like they're getting some type of professionalism, some type of, they're going to have an explanation from a professional in a way that we can all understand, like Emily D. Baker. Okay. Right. But that's not what you're getting here. And that's why it's frustrating to me.
They're as professional as JLR is with his media badge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exceeded anything I ever watched as a child. You know, Stephen King movies, Michael Myers, Halloween, right? All that stuff. Because it's real. It's real, but it feels like horror. It's almost incomprehensible. There's audio of it that they play for the jury, but I'll be reading what he actually said to her and what she said. And it has to be one of the most heartbreaking moments in true crime, in any crime case that I've ever seen. Horror is, in some ways, it's unbearable. It really kind of overwhelms the mind and the body at the same time. It's almost comprehensible, right? It's hard to contain. The other thing about horror, and these all apply here, by the way. The reason I'm talking about this is because I feel like in some ways this is like watching a horror movie, except it's even worse because it's real. The other thing about horror is
he always compares these cases they talk about to movies and stuff. Have you noticed that too? It's like, I get the feeling like you do more studying of movies and Brad Pitt's roles in them when he praised Brad Pitt, that one stream that they did. It's like, yeah, exactly. Movies again. I can't. Like, we get it. It's horrible. It's like a horror film, but it's worse because it's real. It's like, this is a Princeton psychologist.
It really challenges our sense of meaning and sense making. So all human beings engage in what I would call sense making. That's a term that was coined by a sociologist at Harvard. His name's Carl Weick. He's since deceased, but he has this whole idea of sense making, and that people in groups, we all engage in these activities and behaviors and beliefs to make sense of the world. And we all want the world to have some measure of certainty, that we want to feel some mastery over the world, right? And horror really threatens that. Horror challenges that in some level. And that picture does that, I think. Horror also, it confronts us with like some brutal realities about life. Brutal realities like a FedEx driver may not be a safe person. A FedEx driver or a delivery driver may be someone who can abduct your child, right? And that's a reality that we don't typically think about much, I believe. And so horror really kind of challenges our sense of stability and our sense of normality about the world, the real world. And I think the other thing it does, and this is probably even more difficult to talk about, is it really brushes up against our fears of annihilation. It really brushes up against our fears of mortality. I think in most horror movies, there's always some confrontation with our mortality. Right. There's always some run-in with, typically there's kind of a run-in with a monster.
Someone could take everything from you in a second.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I think
don't we know that
has to be
don't we know that any day, even without like a kidnapper involved, that anything can happen at any point to any of us, like in our loved ones?
One of the most terrifying elements of this case is you get that here in terms of 1 minute everything's normal, and an hour later it's completely different.
Oh no.
We've been doing a bit of a spring.
I can't anymore. Now they got to squeeze. You've given us absolutely no insight, and now you want to squeeze in an ad. I can't. I'm not doing that. I think we've gotten our point across with their distasteful, salacious coverage of poor Athena's case. I mean,
So shut up, bitch. Oh my God.
that's all that goes through my head when she's like, we're going to take a minute and do an ad. No.
Yeah, no, we don't care. We're not going to buy what you're selling. It's, first of all, Dr. John, I think that the older you become, the more you realize the less control you really have over the world, and you sort of just accept that. You only really can control yourself. You cannot control the world. And I think most healthy, stable adults recognize that fact. In fact, the more you relinquish control, the more freedom that you actually have, even though you would feel like it might be quite the opposite. But come on, first of all. Second of all, you're comparing horror films to situations that happen in real life. And you're doing it as a psychologist, which is really irresponsible, because for years, people have been trying to draw a connection between the horror movies and the violence that we see on TV and in movies and listen to in music, try to draw some connection between what's happening in real life. They tried it with rap music, when the truth of the matter is the violence already existed on the streets of LA and in New York, and the rappers were talking about it. It was their way of expressing what was going on. It wasn't because of rap there was violence in the streets. The violence that existed prior to rap. You don't know what you're so doing that is so irresponsible. Saying and you're trying to draw some connection as if there is a connection between horror movies and violence in any way, shape, or form. There's not. It's been shown. You can take a group of 20 people and sit them down and they'll all watch the same movie, and only 19 of them will not go on to commit a crime. It's not about the movie, it's about the person. And it's not, so that is a ridiculous conclusion to draw. And you're trying to do it subtly, but you droned on for too long, and Grayson was like, cut.
Literally, we only made it 13 minutes into the video that's 2 hours long, and she had to include the ad. And basically the summary says the big bag wolf archetype, Dr. John uses the analogy of Little Red Riding Hood to explain the psychology horror of the case. Okay. How deep and thoughtful and profound. He highlights the deception and the movement of realization when innocence meets malevolence. Like, duh, we all understand the concept between good and evil. Like, we don't need you to explain it to us with this fairy tale of
And
why he wore the red shirt.
I don't know, because or Athena's big red bow. I don't know. But here's the thing. The better, I think, and more appropriate another conversation. You're welcome for all these fantastic ideas, by the way, that you should be talking about is the basic fundamental question that we get in cases where there's a person who has a diagnosis, and you could talk about nurture versus nature.
Mm-hmm.
Just a thought.
Exactly. We got nothing thus far. 13, and maybe this is why it's 2 hours long. I don't know.
If that's what made it in, imagine what Grayson edited out.
She's like, this isn't good.
It's too long. It's too much.
She's like editing it. She's like, what is John getting at?
Yeah, like, okay.
Well, thank you so much for joining me discussing Athena's case for one, because that is also just an interesting thing that I could sit down and actually talk with you, like, instead of in your chat talking about the case. Like, as
it's so hard. And I need to offer you a link too. I forget to do that sometimes because during the week I have the nuggie, and it's
me too. That's why I'm always just in people's chats.
It's not easy to run a stream like that when you have a little one around, especially on a case like this. Like, I have to be even more careful.
Yep. I know exactly what you mean. But everything that all your points were the same feelings that I was having, like, in regards to their coverage and it just being distasteful and clickbaity. And, I don't think that this is the last time that we're going to see this type of salacious, like, exploitative behavior with these two.
No, we're not. This is definitely a pattern, an established long-term pattern of behavior. And the thing of it is, it's really sad because it's such a missed opportunity, Mm-hmm. I think that, like, when I cover trials, I'm not an attorney, right? Like, I have done a lot of research, but I don't have any practical application of the law. So I will have my thoughts, my opinions, I express them, but then I will use, Google. I will go and watch other actual lawyers discuss the overarching legal implications and explanations, and I'll learn from that. And if I, you know, I've been struggling a lot at trying to express that it's not, and it's hard because I don't want to stick up for the defense, but this was something that was missed during the Nicholas Godejohn trial. A lot of people felt like during that trial that the Nicholas Godejohn's witness was trying to say that that he committed the murder because he's autistic, and that wasn't, and that had a lot to do with the way that their expert witness testified. He was very, very dry, very, very smart guy, just not good at discussing abstract and complicated concepts to a jury. And the defense is not using autism as a reason why he did this. We all know that there are many people that are on the spectrum who never, ever commit any type of crime, let alone a violent crime, let alone a violent crime of this magnitude. Mm-hmm. There's no correlation, and that's not the correlation that the defense is trying to make. What the defense is trying to say to this jury is he is not going to, they're trying to get them to answer the first question, no. Because in this case, in this context, society is not us. Society is other prisoners. So he would be, that's why they're saying that if he were to be in prison, he would be more likely to be the, recipient of a violent act versus being the perpetrator of one. That the prison population would be safe if he were in it, and that he doesn't need to be warehoused in a cell 23 hours a day, 7 days a week until the date of his execution. That's the argument they're making with the autism. They're not using autism or fetal alcohol spectrum disorder to say that that's what caused this. What caused this is Tanner Horner. Tanner Horner made a series of choices on that day. And then he lied about all of those choices that he made. He lied. First, he lied and he said that he hit her with the vehicle. His last final reason for killing Athena was that she caught him doing cocaine. We know that that's not true. There's video from the truck, outside of the truck. And we watched him after the fact. And all of this is because he doesn't want to discuss his true intentions and why he snatched Athena that day. Mm-hmm. He doesn't want to talk about the fact that he's not a child predator. In fact, he was so emphatic about proving that he's not a child predator that he disclosed to his forensic psychiatrist that he had relations with his fiancée the night that he murdered Athena, because he's not attracted to children, but his actions proved that false. Yeah. And it's what it really shows. And this is something else that Dr. John, another missed opportunity. Okay. Certainly there are nuances in the testimony that came from the people that knew Tanner Horner that probably the general public didn't pick up on, because it isn't there are certain things that people say that we're not trained to hear because we're not in that profession, right? And what he could have done is talked about about the nuances that actually these people are testifying that they didn't know this side of Tanner existed, but then they relate a story and here's an example of a red flag. That would have been perfect, because these types of people, we don't know they're monsters until they get caught, until they do something. But the truth of the matter is, and that people like this are thinking about these types of things all the time before they actually act. But I believe there's got to be some type of indicators in their everyday behavior subtle things. Obviously, if you catch somebody with CSAM on their phone or on their computer, well, that's a huge red flag. But I mean, obviously, right? But what about the ones that don't do that? Because when Tanner Horner's electronics were seized, there was no CSAM.
Interesting.
So why not analyze that? Why not talk about that if you're going to talk about anything?
Exactly. Perfectly said. I don't know why. I don't know why you're saying much more in-depth psychology analysis than Dr. John is probably in the whole 2 hours of their video. So
Thank you.
I appreciate you joining me.
Thank you for having me, babe.
Her channel, I see mods are linking it. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you to all the mods. It's got it linked also it's pinned.
Oh,
So
Amber, you didn't have to do that, honey. I appreciate that.
Over on your channel, you'll be live during the week with it. So
I will definitely be live. We're almost through this part. I don't think that the jury is going to have to deliberate for very, very long. I think this is going to be one of those quick verdicts, but by quick, like 2 to 3 hours.
I wouldn't be surprised. Like it's been very well put together, and to me, I think it's going to be easy for the jury for sure.
I think so too. Oh, and don't forget, you guys, May 13th, Corey Richard's sentencing hearing is May 13th, and it is supposed to be all day.
Is Lauren going to be there? She's got to even though her quote stalker lives there.
Probably. Who knows? I mean, she's so ridiculous. It's just, I think that the overarching theme of Amber's live, which I'm really glad that you did this live, Amber, and I'm glad that you've stuck to it. I get frustrated when I can't figure out, like when I see there's a problem, but I cannot, there's not really a solution, right, to this situation with them. And so I'll walk away because otherwise I'll just spend my time being like completely frustrated. But you have the stick-to-itiveness, and you'll be like, now see guys, look what they did here. Here's another case. Here's another example. And you really stick to it. And I'm proud of you for that and grateful that you do that. But I think the overall arching theme of all of this is be careful what content you consume and from whom. Because while Dr. John is degreed and all of that, right? And you would on the surface, you would think, hey, this is a great resource. When you really get into it, it's kind of, it's not that. So,
right.
And I'm not even saying, just be careful. And I'm not even saying, come watch the trial with me. Don't do that either. But just be careful. I mean, I'd like for you to, but I'm not saying I'm better than them or you should come to me. No, what I'm saying, no, because that'll never be me. But what I am saying is, be careful what content that you consume and from whom, and taking it as genuine and factual, because I think that anybody that would use a title like this, it's clickbaity, in a case as sensitive as the murder of a 7-year-old child, that speaks to their intentions and their character overall. It's not a good look.
Do you know who's in the photo here with Lauren?
Is that Rex too? Oh my God.
Okay, so I did the one that I showed you here was John's face on Rex Heuermann's body, and then I did this one, which was their photo together that they posted, and I put Rex Heuermann's face on John's body.
Wow. Dr. John, I need to know. I feel like that with the zipper all the way zipped, that would be so irritating to your neck and your throat, bro. Unzip it, John. Unzip, not all the way, or just have
No, I
something
don't think
underneath it. But for the love of Pete, also you look like an extra from Star Trek in that color and in that outfit. And I like Star Trek, so it's not a dig. It's just like
I know.
don't just that was
Relax, stay a while.
Yeah,
you're
like-
going home. You're with
Yeah.
your wife.
you're at your brand new dining room table that you didn't need or want, but here we are. I mean, come on, bro. Kick your feet up. Chill out a little bit.
Exactly.
You know?
Yes. Thank you so much, Jen, for being here. And yeah, I will see you in chat moderating and following the rest of Athena's case. If you guys want to put her favorite color was pink. That's why her mother's hair was dyed pink.
Yes.
So pink hearts in the chat.
Hearts, pink. She loved unicorns. She loves unicorns, and mermaids. So pink hearts, pink, the unicorns, the mermaids. Put it for Athena. Justice is on its way, Athena. I promise. And the thing is, and I just feel like I have to say this, but we're going to get a verdict. Okay. He's either going to get the death penalty or he's going to get life without the possibility of parole. It will be a hollow victory knowing that he'll never walk out of prison under his own power again, because nothing is going to bring Athena back. He robbed her of every first. He robbed her of her life, and he robbed the world of her potential.
Yep. And I'm glad we brought it back to that on our way out. So thank you again, and goodbye, chat. I will see you guys tomorrow night for Celeste Rivas case, D4VD, whatever you guys want to call him, David. But yeah, we'll be doing that tomorrow night. So
Oh, is that how you say his name?
I don't know.
D for vid?
I just call him
I call him David because that's how I thought his.
I don't know. I've seen like also known as blah blah blah. It's like, okay, here we go with all these names.
Excited Utterance says it's David with a 4. That's what I thought. I thought it was just David. But I'm old, so who knows?
Who knows? All I know,
I'm not up on all these new fangled trends with these kiddos.
I'm
these
just
youngsters.
yeah. We'll see. I got to dig into it.
I'm going to listen because I need to know how to say his name.
Yeah, just tune in for that.
You know? All right, you guys. Thanks for having me, Amber. Good night. You guys have a great rest of your night, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.
Bye.